Hello, Dr. Vikki Petersen here. I wanted to speak to you today about coconut oil and some issues I've been having with it lately. It's gotten very popular. There's people who put coconut oil in their coffee, and I think it's called bulletproof coffee or something like that. And a lot of vegan recipes are putting coconut oil in them. And I mean, you know, it's definitely an oil that, as a saturated fat, we've been told that because it has what's called stearic acid in it, which has a neutral effect on cholesterol, that, you know, using coconut oil would not be adverse to coronary health, heart health, and basically our cholesterol levels. It turns out, though, that coconut, while it does have the stearic acid, which has this neutral effect on the blood and cholesterol, it still has the negative saturated fats the same way beef has and butter has. And so there have been some interesting studies, and I've been lecturing a lot on heart disease lately, and of course it's our #1 killer, so it should really have our attention. And one of the things that perplexed us for a while was the fact that there was a high percentage of people who died from heart attacks that had quote-unquote normal cholesterol. So we figured, okay, there's something else, and certainly there can be other indicators. But then a really interesting study came out that looked at the LDL. So your LDLs are your low-density lipoproteins. That's considered the bad cholesterol. And you know, you have the good and you have the bad. And the question was, well, what bad level is optimal, in other words? So in your standard blood test today, they tell you that LDLs, if they're over 160, so around the 150, 160 range, then they're elevated. So this interesting research study looked at 3 different groups that literally never have heart disease. One was infants, the second one was primates, and the third were some civilizations around the world that literally have 0 heart disease. It's unheard of in their group of individuals. And so they took these 3 groups and found that the LDL level was between 50 and 70. So if you look at that and then you look at, you know, tripling it to 150, 160, you start to see that maybe it is that these LDLs are not normal in what we've considered normal, but they really are elevated if you want to sort of bulletproof yourself against any heart disease. You know, that's maybe where those LDLs need to be. Now there's studies about particle size of bad cholesterol, and if the particles are large, they're still fine, and if they're smaller, that's when they're dangerous. And I'm not arguing any of that, but what I am trying to say is that I think it's very interesting that groups of individuals who literally never get heart disease have this much lower level of the quote-unquote bad cholesterol. And the reason this harkens back to coconut oil is, of late, I've been seeing more and more patients who, thinking coconut oil was healthy for them, are putting it in their coffee and putting it in their smoothie, and we're finding adverse effects. So their weight is going up, their cholesterol levels are going up, and they're not achieving their goals as far as how they want to feel, how they want to look, and as far as their blood levels. So there were some interesting studies. I'm going to look down for a second. One of them was coconut oil versus butter, and butter was worse on the LDL certainly, but coconut oil was not much better. The other study actually gave people 2 tablespoons, let me make sure this is right, yeah, 2 tablespoons a day of coconut oil over the course of 2 months, but they also put them on a reduced calorie diet. Typically, if you reduce calories and people are losing weight, the LDLs go down. And so what happened was that the LDLs raised even though the patients lost weight and they were on a low-calorie diet, which is not typically what you would see. So there the coconut oil was having an adverse effect. So even a randomized, a good control trial that was done through Harvard that saw coconut oil raising the LDLs said it really should be used sparingly. So I'm not saying it's as bad as butter or eating beef, but I really do feel that Well, first of all, look at your LDL. So we pretty much all have everything online these days. So see how your LDLs are running. See what your risk factors are as far as how you're feeling. Do you have belly fat? Do you have heart disease in your family? And if you have any risk factors, really look at the amount of fat coming in, especially a saturated fat like coconut oil. And you know, you can eat nuts, and you can eat flax seeds, and you can eat avocados, and you know, put a little olive oil on cooked vegetables if you'd like. But staying away from the saturated fat could really have a nice impact on your coronary risk profile, and considering it is our #1 killer, I think that would be a very good idea. So if you are having trouble getting your cholesterol balanced, if you have weight to lose, if you really want to avoid being at a higher risk for heart disease, I would love to help you. We have great success with that here at Root Cause Medical Clinic, and give me a call. We can set up a free consultation. The telephone number here is 408-733-0400, and here at the clinic we help the world's busiest people regain, retain, and reclaim their health, their energy, and their resilience, and I would love to help you. So I'll see you soon.